Right, welcome. Workers of Flame. We represent Kensington Temple, Elim Church, and we're all from the same church, as you can see, apart from Dave. Okay, let me go to the next slide, and it's not working, so let me come out. Excuse me, please, technology. Okay. Okay, let's see. Okay, wonderful. Okay, so we all know the scripture, you are the salt of the earth, you are the light of the world. One thing that is very, very clear is that salt in a shaker cannot do very much. Salt needs to be sprinkled onto food. It needs to be sprinkled onto something for it to add value, bring healing, preserve, add flavor, and enhance. So that is what we are. Jesus said it. If Jesus said it, then it's very, very important that we are the salt of the earth. Our presence in our workplaces and in society is what preserves it. Our prayers, I mean, we at KT, we love to pray, and I'm sure every other church does as well. It is our prayers that actually preserves wherever we are. Our presence attracts the grace and the goodness of God into that environment. You are the light of the world. What does light do? Light enlightens. It brightens up the place. It illuminates. It brings knowledge. It brings revelation. That is what we are wherever we are. So when we know who we are and what we do where we are, then it gives us a little bit more confidence. This is what Jesus said. He said, you are the salt of the earth. You are the light of the world. I'm going to have to drag this thing down. Yeah. Like a city on a hilltop that cannot be hidden, no one lights a lamp and then puts it under a basket. Instead, a lamp is placed on a stand where it gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your good deeds shine out for all to see, so that everyone will praise your heavenly Father. Sometimes we think that the only good deed that we can do is preach the gospel. But doing good deeds is not just about preaching the gospel. It's about living a life that glorifies God, whatever that looks like. Being kind to someone, being a mouthpiece of justice and truth for somebody, molding the culture of a place. Everything we do that comes out of the heart of God is a good deed that shines out for all to see. So if you're not winning souls, even though that is important, don't think that you are not doing anything, because you are. Just living out who you are is a good deed that glorifies God, and people see that, and that's what attracts them sooner or later to who God is. So he said, you know, let your good deeds shine out for all to see, so that everyone will see it and praise your heavenly Father. And sometimes it may happen in front of you. Somebody may come up to you and say, oh my goodness, why are you such a lovely person? And sometimes it's a quiet thing. When you put salt into food, the salt doesn't shout and say, hello, I'm salt. It just blends in. And that's what just being a Christian is all about. So how can you make a difference? Can Christians influence the workplace? As I've just said, it's not just about evangelizing, even though that is important. You can influence just by being a Christian. Take your faith to work. A booklet, which is this, by the Lawyers Christian Fellowship, gives you the legal grounds on which you can take your faith to work. So the book is called A Brief Guide to the Law and Your Gospel Freedoms. This is something that it says. It says, sometimes people feel that we live in a society where it is increasingly difficult to share our faith. On the other hand, we live in a society where the law is designed to safeguard our rights and freedoms, and Christians are protected from religious discrimination by strong domestic legislation. So that should give you some confidence. Ours is a multi-ethnic, there's something in front of this thing, so just drag it away. Ours is a multi-ethnic plural society where people are encouraged to tolerate and embrace religious diversity, including Christianity. So you may think that, you know, you're isolated, you know, you're powerless, but this booklet, I'm going to show you the booklet again. What's going on? The booklet, Speak Up, actually gives you the legal framework within which you can speak up. You can bring your faith to work. So legally, you can. But because you don't know your rights, you know, Jesus said, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. As long as you don't know that you have legal rights, you will feel restricted. But once you know that you have legal rights, that should give you confidence to speak up, to bring your faith to work, to celebrate, you know, your Christianity in the workplace. One of the most effective ways is by starting a small group. A small group can take any shape and any form. One of the ways that you can start doing that is find another Christian in your workplace. If you think that there's none, start praying, God, send somebody. Let me find somebody else that has a faith. They don't have to believe the way you do. They may be Church of England, they may be Seventh-day Adventist, they may be Catholic, but they're a Christian. Get together with them. Say, okay, can we pray together at your lunchtime? You know, don't take time out of your work, but during your lunchtime, either before work, lunchtime, or after work. Maybe have start with 15 minutes, 20 minutes, pray together, and begin to ask, what does God want to do in my workplace? So when you start a small group, one of the things that I would advise is that it has a strong core. So if you are the leader, you are the one who started it, you know, just make sure that you stay consistent. Also, be outward focused. Don't just be inward focused, praying for yourself. Look around you. What are the needs around you? Begin to pray into those things. And also, the next step from that would be engage with the organization. You say, how can I do that? Well, we shall look at that later. You might say that, you know, small group, you know, I've never heard of it before, nobody's done it, but look, these are just some of the groups that I have personally visited while I was working at Transform Work UK. These are some groups that I visited: GlaxoSmithKline, Superdry, Network Rail, Thales, which is the aerospace company, BAE, BP, just so many. This is just a handful of organizations where there is a thriving Christian group, and they started somehow. So there's no how that you can say my company is unique, I can't start a group here, because you can. This is just a handful. As I said, there are thousands of them. Okay. So to start a group, I would suggest that you get in touch with Transform Work UK. This booklet that they give, I think they sell it for about £5 or so online. You can get this booklet and it will take you through the steps of starting a group. Or if you want me to, I can help you. We can do that at a different time, walk you through the steps of starting a group. I could do that with you. This is the booklet that actually gives you the step-by-step. But as I said, I can coach you through that as well. Transform Work UK, you can Google them and find out more about them. Now, Pastor Colin, our pastor, wrote a book called People with a Passion. This is what he said in the book. He said cells or small groups have the capacity to penetrate every part of society and to exercise influence for Christ in the heart of the marketplace. That is where the church is needed most. So small groups penetrate. It's like salt. It's like light. It penetrates every part of society. We are aiming for total transformation of our workplace or of society. It is what we are called to do, to bring total transformation. As are the building ground for ministry, they are also the cutting edge of mission. So even in the cell vision, we are encouraged to go into all the world, especially our workplaces, and make a difference. So that's what Pastor Colin Dye has said in his book, People with a Passion. So what is the purpose of a small group? The purpose of a small group in any organization is to use the workplace as a forum for interaction and engagement. So the workplace is your front line. It is your sphere of influence. It is you engage with more non-Christians. So you use it as a forum for interaction. It's where you interact with people. It's where you engage with people, mostly who are not believers. A small group has the capacity to enlighten workplace culture with gospel values. So you can organize events, you can organize talks. There's so much that you can do, both as a group and individually as well. It enriches the workplace with a sort-like presence, and if applicable, it uses the EDI framework as a means for recognition. So EDI, if you don't know what that means, is equality, diversity, and inclusion. And that is part of the Equality Act 2010, the legislation that encourages workplaces to comply with equality and diversity. We'll talk about that a little bit more later. So how do you engage? We talked about engagement earlier. How do you engage? Engagement has to be intentional. Number one, you engage with colleagues, one-on-one, engage with your colleagues, foster high staff morale, be a blessing to them, add value to them, serve them, find ways to do it. Sometimes it's like, okay, you have to be intentional by finding ways. You have to say, today I'm going to, add value to somebody's life. Today I'm going to go out of my way to serve somebody. The same way with the organization. Find relevant, meaningful, and practical ways to serve the organization. What is the organization doing? Find ways to be part of that. Find ways to participate in whatever they're doing, and that's the way that you allow your light to shine. Because God, talking about letting your light shine, you don't have to work it up. That's what I find. The Holy Spirit already knows what he wants to do. He's just looking for a vessel. So you just make yourself available, and he would lead and guide you into opportunities. And then engage with God. That's the last part. So you engage with colleagues, engage with the organization, engage with God. Find areas of need in the organization and pray. You can talk to, you find it sometimes when you're with your colleagues, somebody says, oh, I've just had a bereavement, or I've just, my sister's just had an accident, just let them know gently without, making too much noise. I'll be praying into that, or just let them know, I'm praying for you in that area, or just do whatever comes naturally. When you step out naturally in the things of God, the Holy Spirit puts his super on your natural. So just let it flow out of you naturally as you engage intentionally with people and with the organization. Here are some examples of engagement for Christians. These are some of the things you can do if you have other Christians in your organization. Organize socials, go out for a meal in the evening, get together, set up a Bible study, set up a prayer group, or use resources. Everybody knows about Used to Be Word for Today. Use that as a Bible study tool. LICC, the London Institute for Contemporary Christianity, they also have a book called Fruitfulness on the Front Line. That's an excellent book to use as a study in a group. Also attend training events such as this one. Transform Work UK also has a lot of training events. They call them networking events. So you can attend those. And for staff, for the organization, you can invite speakers to come and do a talk on crisis support, to come and do a talk on parenting. You can invite Christians Against Poverty to do something about budgeting and debt management, maybe at Christmas. You can organize a conflict or stress management talk, find somebody that can come and do a talk. And these can be done at different times in the organization, maybe when there are redundancies, when there's appraisals, bereavement, or people management issues. You just have to be very creative. You can organize an alpha in the workplace. Maybe you can get permission to do that. You can organize during the Easter time, Easter talks, carol services, a choir. You can do a Christianity Awareness Week. You can do a talk on evolution and creation. If you're in education, that would be an excellent one, evolution and creation. Another thing that you can do for all staff is at the induction time, if a staff is starting with their starter week, you can say, there's a Christian group in the organization. You can talk to HR to allow you to do that. You can be part of the multi-faith forum, be an active part in that. Also, you can use EDI events, use the organization's calendar to plan events and talks. There's so much that you can do. If you want more information about any of these, just let me know and I can talk you through them. These are some of the things that organizations that are doing. These are all just a handful of them. In Ealing Council, they work with other denominations to organize talks. They do an annual Christianity Awareness Week. They do annual Christmas carol services. Barclays Bank in Canary Wharf, they organize and host City Lights Are On. These are normally attended by over 250 delegates from at least 30 different organizations within Canary Wharf. It's massive. BT is one of the largest Christian groups. They have members all over the world that join the Christian group in the organization online. So they do it online. And so thousands of them join at the same time. Superdry in Gloucestershire, they host training events for Christian groups, and they organize Christmas shoebox appeal for staff. That's an excellent events to organize at Christmas. Network Rail, they were given permission to put prayer letter boxes in staff cafes. That was a very good initiative. Ministry of Justice, they hold prophetic prayer meetings. Hackney Council hold monthly prayer gyms. There's so much that is out there that people are doing in the workplace. So one of the things you might say, but how do you even start? I think I would advise you to aim for recognition. Try to get recognition. Once you get 2 or 3 of you together, then begin to look at ways that you can get recognition. Why should you get recognition as a group? These are some of the reasons why. Because it gives you a level playing field with other staff groups. So if there's an LGBT group, if there's a women's group, if there's a Muslim group, multi-faith group, it just gives you a level playing field with also all the privileges that all of these other groups have. You can also be part of those privileges as well. You can benefit from those privileges. You also have the ability to participate in all the initiatives that have to do with EDI, such as what other groups are having, multi-faith and other events that they do under the EDI initiative. It gives you access to, could you please put off your, mute your microphone if you don't mind, please, thank you. It gives you access to corporate resources such as the use of your time. So you might say, oh my gosh, I don't even have time. Once you're recognized as a staff network group, they would allocate time for you to do to take care of the group. So you have the use of time, you can use the meeting rooms, you can have consultations with HR, you can have discussions with them to say, can we do this, can we do that? And they will be able to do that legally. You can use the internet to do, send emails and all the things that you need to do. Also, it gives you the ability to influence decision making. You can sit at the table when all the other staff networks are talking at the table, making decisions. You can be part of that so that you're not always on the back foot catching up. You are part of the decision making. That's one of the reasons that Christians need to step up really and be part of the discussion. We shouldn't shy away from that because they're making decisions that are affecting us. We should be part of that decision-making process. So those are just some of the advantages of getting recognition as a group. So famous last words. This is what 1 Peter 3:15 and 16 says. If someone asks you about your hope as a believer, always be ready to explain it, but do this in a gentle and respectful way. Keep your conscience clear. Whatever we do as Christians, we're not there to antagonize, we're there to serve. So whatever conflict that we may come across, gentle and respectful is the way we put our case across. Yeah. And then Colin Dye has said a few things. Jesus' purpose was to put the church to work in the world. That's why we're here, to go to work in the world. Our occupation, as he always says, is the location for our true vocation. And these are some of those booklets again. Christianity in the Workplace, that one is done by the Lawyers Christian Forum. Speak Up, as well as by the Lawyers Christian Fellowship, And then, of course, that's the one by Transform Work UK. So now I would take your questions. So I think this is a group at a hospital, actually. So if you are in a hospital, there's so much that you can do. So I'm going to come out of here now and go to the chat room and look at some of the questions that you've given, and then we'll take that together. Excellent. Okay, chat. Yep, we've got some questions from Dave Law. Free to download the book. Oh, the book is free